Plus, Hollywood writers and major studios reach a tentative agreement. And in sports, the Ohio Bobcats spoil Bowling Green's homecoming. Newswatch starts right now. The Ohio Redistricting Commission is holding public hearings across the state. Today, the panel is in Northeast Ohio. Good evening, I'm Reese Thompson. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. A packed room at Punderson State Park in Geauga County today for the second public hearing on the new redistricting maps. The Republican-drawn maps create new state legislative boundaries after past attempts were ruled unconstitutional by the Ohio Supreme Court. Some attendees expressed frustration with the commission as they believe the proposed maps are gerrymandered, similar to the past attempts.
You look at people and you treat them as widgets that are interchangeable. And that's fine. That's a way you can do things. That doesn't respect the diversity of our state. That doesn't respect the people of our state.
Another public hearing is happening right now at the park, and a final hearing is scheduled for tomorrow in Columbus. Over in Toledo, state lawmakers say they plan to hold an unofficial redistricting town hall so Northwest voters feel heard. The League of Women Voters of Athens County is releasing dates for the candidate events they are hosting for the November general election. The events will be public, so anyone can pose questions for the candidates. Questions are being taken at least 48 hours in advance and can be sent to athenscountyask@gmail.com. All forums will be recorded and posted on the League's Facebook page and YouTube channel, as well as their website, athensleagueofwomensvoters.org. The Athens Mayor Forum can also be viewed on the City of Athens Facebook and YouTube channel. Additional events may still be added, and the latest list will be updated at the Athens League of Women's Voters website. 6 family members are facing felony charges for allegedly stealing $75,000 from an American medical services company in Ironton. A Lawrence County grand jury indicted former fleet manager at Patriot EMS, Tony Wilson, along with his wife, 2 sons, daughter, and her husband. Wilson is accused of stealing fuel cards from the company and giving them to family who then bought gas for personal use and resale. The unexplained charges were first noticed by the owner of Patriot EMS in March 2022. Spending records and security footage allegedly revealed the family's actions, which date back to April 2020. Now, we see some sprinkles in the air earlier today, and honestly, I don't mind those types of days like every here and there. You know, you get cozy and read a book.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I definitely love a good fall day, especially on Sunday. We had some nice cloudy weather going on, especially to watch some NFL games, and that's what I spent my Sundays doing.
Oh, me too.
But looking in Athens currently right now, we're seeing a little bit of cloud coverage right now. We had a bit of a misty morning and a bit of a rainy afternoon. We're currently looking at a 70-degree temperature right now, a bit of overcast skies, not too much of a breeze at all, but all across the board throughout Ohio, we're seeing very similar temperatures with Athens, Zanesville, and Lancaster all being around 68, Newark 67. If we take a look down towards the southwest towards Cincinnati, that's a little bit on the higher side of temperatures. That's mainly because they didn't see as much rain and as much cloud coverage as we saw throughout the day today. We had a relatively large band of rain come in through the southwest that produced a decent amount of rain for Athens and especially southeast Ohio. That really cooled things down, so that's why we have a bit of a temperature difference between the southwest and the southeast in our state. Now we're taking a look at what's going on out west. We have a bit of a low pressure system with a frontal system that's going to make its way in towards Ohio these next couple of days. So I'll talk about that more in my full forecast. But for tonight, we're going to see an overnight low of 57 and some more cloudy skies. Be sure to stay tuned for my full forecast. We're going to look at some rain on the forecast. Back to you, Reese.
Thanks, Emily. Some good news for Ohioans who don't like the snow. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says this winter will be warmer than normal. This will be the first time in years we'll feel the effects of the phenomenon during the winter. NOAA says during the winter season, our area is expected to be drier and warmer. El Niño occurs when specific ocean temperatures are warmer than normal for an extended period of time. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and Lieutenant Governor John Husted approves assistance for 6 new projects to sustain jobs statewide. The project is set to create more than 300 new jobs and retains more than 900 others. The Ohio Tax Credit Authority reviewed economic development proposals brought to the board by Jobs Ohio. Collectively, the projects are expected to result in more than $27 million in new payroll and spur more than $426 million in investments across Ohio. Ohio is getting over $26 million from the federal government for rail infrastructure safety. The money comes after a series of high-profile rail accidents, including February's toxic derailment in East Palestine. But none of the funding is going to that community. An administration official says that's because there were no grant applications from the town. Starting today, you can once again order free COVID-19 tests from the federal government. People can access 4 tests per U.S. household. The tests are good through the end of the year. The Biden administration restarted the program because of the rise of COVID hospitalizations. You can get your test at covidtest.gov, and those without internet service can call 1-800-232-0233. A government shutdown may start this week. What this means for federal workers. And the water level of the Mississippi River is expected to be at historic lows in the coming days, impacting everything from drinking water to transportation.
We are expecting a little bit of rain on our forecast next week. What that means for us and more when Newswatch returns.
A historic lighthouse teeters on a collapsing cliff.
The result would be disastrous.
Open the valve!
A team of elite engineers wages an epic battle to move it.
Move the whole thing at once.
Safely inland, fighting deadly storms and crumbling walls. Can they save it before time runs out? Operation Lighthouse Rescue on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Evolution Earth, ice. Where nature is on the move, showing us changes we can't see on our own. Out there, things aren't what you expect. You'll see.
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
Next time on Benjamin Franklin.
We pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Revolution.
Choosing sides means choosing fates.
Diplomacy.
Franklin had to convince one monarch to help the Americans overthrow another monarch.
And a final cause.
It's the first debate in American history on slavery.
Don't miss the conclusion of Benjamin Franklin.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
PBS is proud to present the 36th Hispanic Heritage Awards. This year we honor Omar Apollo, Cesar Conde, Café Tacuba, Siete Family Foods, and Wisin, with performances and appearances by Alejandra Guzman, Pedrito Martinez, Millie Quesada, Alex Cuba, Tito Puente Jr., and more. Hosted by Leslie Grace.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Congress returns tomorrow to vote on major spending bills. If the House fails to pass a short-term spending bill, a shutdown could have enormous impacts on the U.S. economy. Mike Valerio reports on what a government shutdown means for nearly 4 million federal employees.
5 days. That's the time left for members of Congress to reach an agreement. Both sides of the table at a standstill. Some lawmakers saying a government shutdown looks inevitable. A shutdown could cost the U.S. economy $6 billion a week and put a strain on millions of Americans.
We cannot go into government shutdown. I know this is a political thing. However, that's just cannot be an option because it does put the economy in a place where checks don't get sent out. Businesses start closing down.
If lawmakers fail to pass a federal funding bill this week, the impact on American consumers is significant. major travel disruptions, and public health risks as the EPA halts inspections at hazard waste sites and drinking water facilities. There could be food and housing impacts and museums and park closures. There's an even bigger impact on federal workers.
60% of the American workforce live from paycheck to paycheck. The people that I represent are no different. 1 week without a paycheck could be devastating.
So who's to blame? Congressman Tony Gonzalez says everyone.
House Republicans are to blame, Senate Democrats are to blame, and the president is to blame. And there's real people that are going to get hurt. Everyone thinks that they can just point the finger at someone else.
Well, you have to keep the government open. I mean, if people want to close the government, it only makes it weaker.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
The United Auto Workers Union is expanding its strike against General Motors in Stellantis, including 38 parts and distribution centers across 20 states. The UAW did not expand its strike against Ford, citing progress in negotiations with the automaker. However, auto repair shops are now concerned their businesses may be affected due to a lack of parts, especially now that more plants like Stellantis Parts Distribution Center in Northeast Ohio are on strike. Williams Worley owns Piney's Auto Repair and Custom Service. He says he still hasn't recovered from pandemic-related supply chain issues.
Yes, I'm definitely concerned about it, more so just give or take on how it may affect parts and how it just may trickle down just on the small people.
President Biden will be going to Detroit tomorrow to meet with striking UAW workers on the picket line. But the White House says while he will not be involved in negotiations, he is standing with the auto workers. Meanwhile, Hollywood writers are officially off the picket lines and could be back at work as early as this week. The major film and television studios and striking writers reached a tentative agreement yesterday. Now it needs to be ratified by the members of the Writers Guild of America. Ivan Rodriguez explains what's next.
A crowd of Hollywood writers burst into celebration as word spreads of a tentative agreement with the major studios.
We're trying to save writers' ability to pay their rent, to pay for a mortgage, to put kids through school, to save for a rainy day.
It's a significant turning point for the nearly 5-month-long strike. Days of marathon negotiating sessions began last week once the CEOs of 4 major studios actively joined the conversation.
I feel like they realize, I actually need to be present and actually hear what the writers and our workers are saying, because I don't think they really thought we were serious.
The deal still needs to be ratified, but the WGA released a statement saying they could authorize members to return to work before that, when leadership meets on Tuesday.
All right, everybody.
Daytime and late-night talk shows will likely be the first to return to your screens, but most other major productions will have to wait for their actors. SAG-AFTRA, representing about 160,000 actors, also hit the picket lines mid-July. There is hope that the studio's agreement with the writers will also allow it to reach a deal with the actors.
This is a really significant window of opportunity these next couple weeks. If we were able to get back to the table and talk, there's a small possibility you could get things into production before the holidays.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Several retail giants are looking to fill thousands of seasonal positions in time for the holiday season, but some aren't looking for as many new hires as they have in previous years. U.S. retailers are expected to add over 410,000 seasonal positions for this year's holiday shopping season, according to an estimate from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. This would mark the lowest seasonal hiring total since 2008. Some economists predict shoppers will splurge less this year and hold on to their extra cash. Despite that, many retailers are still eager to hire. Target and Macy's are keeping their numbers lower than in the past, but Amazon is increasing its seasonal hiring. They plan to add 250,000 employees ahead of the holiday season, making it the largest ever holiday workforce for Amazon.
Good evening. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Saturday marked the first day of fall, and we are starting to feel temperatures that are very similar to that. Right now we've got 70 degrees and we're seeing overcast skies. We had a bit of rain this morning, and that really stemmed from this tropical storm Ophelia that was just off the coast that made landfall, but now it's starting to dissipate towards the Atlantic a little bit. But we saw the outer bands of that system producing some cloud coverage, especially on Sunday, and a little bit of rain today. We had a bit of a misty morning, a little bit of a steadier downfall this afternoon, but now things are starting to lighten up. And we're actually going to be taking a look at what's going on out to the west because we're seeing some low pressure and actually a stationary front right now develop, but that's expected to move towards the east. And I'll talk about that here in just a minute. But in the meantime, this morning, we're also starting to take a look at that low pressure as well as it's starting to expand some of its cloud coverage. That's what we're going to be seeing tonight, whereas Ophelia, that's going to keep moving towards the east. So we're starting to see those clouds move away. That's what we saw yesterday, earlier this morning, but into this evening. We're going to see the rest of these clouds from the west start to push in, and that's where we saw a little bit of our rain from as well earlier. Now, across with that, we're also starting to see temperatures feel like fall across the board. In the greater Midwest area, we've got mid-70s, even into the upper 60s and low 60s as well. Here in Ohio, we're seeing those, upper 60s. And up near New York, since we have that cloud coverage and that rain, we're really seeing the drop into the 50s. So things are really starting to cool down, and I know I'm really going to enjoy that. I've been really looking forward to fall. Tonight, we're going to see an overnight low of 57 with those mostly cloudy skies. Those clouds are acting as sort of a barrier, so the heat we do have inside right now is going to be prevented from going out due to these mostly cloudy skies. And over the next 12 hours overnight tonight, we're still going to see the advancement of that low pressure system, although it's going to be moving relatively slowly. We're going to see a little bit of cloud coverage with a chance of some pop-up showers tonight, depending on where you are in the state. However, that won't be producing a lot of rain. Tomorrow we'll see another high of 76. We're going to jump back up to the 70s a little bit with mostly cloudy skies, so very similar to today, just a little bit less rain with another overnight low in the 50s, so another warm night, and that's due to another cloudy day. We're still going to see the advancement of this low pressure system, some more pop-up clouds throughout the day. We have that stationary front attached to it, which is causing the system to move relatively slowly. But we're going to start to see it pick up a little bit, especially tomorrow night as it separates out into a bit of a warm front. And that's going to cause a lot of rain to start forming in front of it. So there's tomorrow night. Looking at Wednesday, there's all that rain that's forming in front of it. And we're going to expect that to move in around Wednesday afternoon into the evening times, even into Thursday, potentially causing some thunderstorms. So Thursday, we're looking at that 70% chance of showers with that high of 70 as well. So it's going to be a bit on the chillier side. And that's due to that cloud coverage not allowing a lot of that radiation in. And that air is going to be pretty cool down from the rain on Wednesday and on Thursday. So we're in for a bit of a rainy week, cloudy week this week. Back over to you, Reese.
Thanks, Emily. The Mississippi River is expected to drop to historic lows in the days ahead. Driven by extreme drought, nearly every water gauge along a 400-mile stretch is at or below normal thresholds, according to National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the U.S. Geological Survey. The mighty Mississippi is now vulnerable to a new threat, a saltwater intrusion. Experts say a saltwater wedge from the Gulf of Mexico will push upriver and could mix with drinking water systems in places like New Orleans. To mitigate the risk, Louisiana officials and the Army Corps of Engineers plan to start delivering millions of gallons of fresh waters to at-risk treatment facilities from plants located above the saltwater wedge.
Can be combined with water at the treatment facilities to create a mixture that is safe for treatment.
Engineers also plan to add to an existing underwater levee or sill designed to temporarily slow the wedge's progression north. New Orleans officials anticipate the city will see the effects of saltwater intrusion in late October. And while the higher underwater levee may help address the saltwater problem, it could potentially impact the river's flow of barge traffic. Engineers say they'll address the traffic by putting in a notch to allow vessels to pass safely.
Coming up in sports, Ohio football head coach Tim Albin called it one of the most impressive performances he's seen at OU. Find out more when Newswatch returns. And if you haven't got enough of Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Next time on Benjamin Franklin.
We pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Revolution.
Choosing sides means choosing fates.
Diplomacy.
Franklin had to convince one monarch to help the Americans overthrow another monarch.
And a final cause.
It's the first debate in American history on slavery.
Don't miss the conclusion of Benjamin Franklin.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
on Finding Your Roots. Brian Cox.
I wish my ma could be here to see this.
And Viola Davis.
You're uncovering the truth. I love this.
Redemption on the Western Front.
It's incredibly moving.
And a grandfather's shocker.
Isn't that interesting?
You gotta bury your secrets.
That's right.
Plus,
He's my DNA cousin.
Oh my goodness.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, we're revisiting Derby City to see which values have kept pace in the marketplace.
This is by far the best baseball I've ever seen on the roadshow.
That's nice.
Oh my gosh.
Kidding, right?
No, I'm not kidding.
Think you know which treasures are still ahead of the pack? Find out next time on Antiques Roadshow Vintage Louisville Hour 1.
Monday at 8 on WOUB.
A historic lighthouse teeters on a collapsing cliff.
The result would be disastrous.
Open the valve!
A team of elite engineers wages an epic battle to move it.
Move the whole thing at once.
Safely inland, fighting deadly storms and crumbling walls. Can they save it before time runs out? Operation Lighthouse Rescue on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Aiden Crowley. The Ohio football team kicked off MAC play up in Bowling Green. If there were any doubts about how the Bobcats would fare in conference play, they were quickly put to rest. It was homecoming at DeWitt Perry Stadium, and Ohio was ready to crash the party. After a Key Thompson interception, quarterback Curtis Rourke found C.A. Bangura for the first score of the game, and it would not be the last. On the very next drive for Ohio, the Maple Missile threw another touchdown, bringing his career total up to 50 and making it a 14-0 ball game. But not to be outdone is this Ohio defense. They turned BG over 4 times and contributed 2 scores of their own en route to a 38-7 demolition of Bowling Green. Thompson caused 2 of the turnovers and says this win should put the rest of the league on notice.
I mean, it should be a statement. It should be a wake-up call. We're not the same Ohio Bobcats. We're coming in here with a goal, a mission to win the MAC championship, to finish as one of the best defenses in the country. Honestly, I know offense will pick up the pace as the season goes on, but it's a statement for sure.
To no one's surprise, for his efforts, Thompson was named MAC East Defensive Player of the Week. The captain tallied 4 tackles, an interception, and a scoop and score of 71 yards. Not a bad day at the office. And I posed the question on Twitter. Are Thompson and co-captain Bryce Houston just going to pass this award back and forth? Through 4 weeks, the two have combined for 3 Defensive Player of the Weeks as a unit, and it's off to an historic start in 2023. But the rest of the league will have a chance this week. Ohio enters its first bye week of the season, so Thompson and Houston, they'll have to share. The Bobcats are back in action homecoming Saturday against the Kent State Golden Flashes. To continue the winning ways, Ohio soccer earned its first conference victory on the road against the Buffalo Bulls. 1 goal was all it took in Ohio's first win away from home this season. Senior forward Shea Robertson found the back of the net in the 28th minute to put the Bobcats on top. A clutch save on a penalty kick in the final moments of the match by goalkeeper Celeste Soma put the game on ice, and Ohio to improve to an even 1-1 in MAC play. Their next test is this Thursday against the Northern Illinois Huskies. Back in Athens, Ohio volleyball earned a series split against the Akron Zips to open up their conference play. OU dropped game 1 Friday, 1-3, but the Bobcats bounced back in a big way on Saturday. Anna Karchinska led the way for Ohio in its 3-1 victory. The sophomore racked up 16 kills on the night in a dominant showing for the Bobcats. And I think all of Southeast Ohio took a deep breath, held their breath when Joe Burrow limped off the field in the Bengals' loss to Baltimore last week. The highest paid man in the NFL re-aggravated his calf injury, putting his status for tonight's game against the LA Rams in doubt. But according to a report from NFL insider Ian Rappaport, he's going to play tonight, just not at 100% health. And man, Reese, I don't know what can keep Burrow off the field. He just has so much grit, and he wants to play the game.
Well, now that he is back, everybody in Athens can breathe, shall we?
Take a deep breath.
I feel so much better already.
I'm excited to see how he looks, though, when he goes out there and plays.
Me as well. Thanks so much, Aiden. Coming up after the break, LEGO is updating their climate-friendly goals. why their bricks won't be changing anytime soon when we come back. Stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Knocking me down, but my heart keeps beating.
If you know where you come from, you'll know where you're going.
I know a brighter day will come.
My lovely city became divided.
Every bruise and every scar makes us who we are.
We were brought up in a culture that valued story.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
Okay, what just happened? It's moving. My heart is singing.
I believe it, yes, I believe it.
They could not imagine existence without the buffalo.
There's no gospel without the totality of African American culture.
Our future looks like us telling our stories.
Wow. God, that's satisfying.
Who we are.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, we're revisiting Derby City to see which values have kept pace in the marketplace.
This is by far the best baseball I've ever seen on the roadshow.
That's nice.
Oh my gosh.
You're kidding, right?
No, I'm not kidding.
Think you know which treasures are still ahead of the pack? Find out next time on Antiques Roadshow Vintage Louisville Hour 1.
Monday at 8 on WOUB.
On Finding Your Roots, Brian Cox.
I wish my ma could be here to see this.
And Viola Davis.
You're uncovering the truth. I love this.
Redemption on the Western Front.
It's incredibly moving.
And a grandfather's shocker.
Isn't that interesting?
You gotta bury your secrets.
That's right.
Plus,
He's my DNA cousin.
Oh my goodness.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
Finally tonight, LEGO is ditching its plan to make bricks from recycled plastic bottles. This decision comes after 3 years of testing the more climate-friendly recycled material. LEGO said it found that manufacturing process of the alternative material would cause more planet heating pollution than the current production of oil-based bricks. The company said they also found that the recycled plastic wasn't as durable and safe, and bricks didn't stick together as well or pull apart as easily. They have pledged to use only sustainable materials in its products by 2032. Well, so glad to see Legos being environmentally friendly. I haven't used Legos in many, many years.
No, they weren't really my jam either, but I know that there's a fan base that is dedicated to Legos, so this information, they'll be good for them.
Unfortunately, I can't relate. I had Star Wars Legos growing up, so I mean that was my real cup of tea when I was a kid. But taking a look at some weather that we're expecting for tonight, it's going to be a bit on the warmer side of things compared to the weather we've been seeing during the day. It's going to be an overnight low of 56 with cloudy skies, so a bit surprising considering the fact that we've had some cooler temperatures today. Our high about 66, 67. So this overnight low of 56 is really due to that cloudy weather really holding in a lot of that daytime heating that we've seen the past couple of days. Now tomorrow we're going to see a pretty similar day to today, just with a little bit less rain, a high of about 76, and again that low of 57. We're going to take a look out west at a low pressure system and a frontal system that's been developing for a little bit, and it's moving relatively slowly. So tomorrow that's going to advance a little bit, and by Wednesday that stationary front's actually going to separate out into a warm front, and ahead of that warm front is where a lot of that rain is going to develop. That's going to move into Ohio about Wednesday afternoon into the evening, potentially producing some thunderstorms for us. So we're going to see Wednesday a bit of a cloudier day and some showers expected, and Thursday pretty much most of the day Thursday. By the late evening we should see that start to wrap up and a beautiful weekend ahead.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Aiden Crowley and Emily Dietz, I'm Reese Thompson. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org or follow us on social media. Have a great night.
Support comes from Buckeye Hills Regional Council and Broadband Ohio, announcing the Affordable Connectivity Program, providing lower-cost internet for qualifying households. Information